Hey friends, today I want to invite you into an honest conversation. If you are a homeschooling parent and you have ever considered stepping away from the traditional education space, you've probably felt like a ton of fear, right? Fear of falling behind, fear of doing it wrong, fear of messing up your child's future. But I want to help you unpack those fears because once you name them, you can begin to release them and you can replace them with something better. That's trust, connection, and freedom. So let's go deep into the biggest fears that hold us back from giving our kids freedom in their education. And I will offer reflection questions to help you think deeply about this and to try to give you clarity and peace. So jumping into the very first fear, the fear of falling behind. This fear is super powerful because it taps into our deepest desire to protect and prepare our children. But let's challenge this idea of behind. Behind what? Behind a one-size-fits-all curriculum, behind arbitrary grade level expectations. What happens when a child learns later than others? Often nothing. When they're ready, developmentally, emotionally, cognitively, they leap forward faster than we even thought possible. In real life, mastery does matter, understanding matters, but forced memorization on someone else's timeline does not. And here's the truth, falling behind is a story that creates pressure, not progress. It often leads to pushing, resistance, and disconnection when what our kids need is patience, trust, and encouragement. So I have a quote for you to help you with this fear of falling behind. The fear that our children will fall behind is common among parents. However, research suggests that self-directed learning, where students take initiative in their education, can lead to effective learning outcomes. A study published in Medical Teacher outlines a 6-step process for self-directed learning, emphasizing goal setting, self-assessment, and resource identification as the key components for success. I also want to let you guys know, as an FYI, all the quotes that I'm going to be giving you today at the end of each fear is from a study done, and it's in an article written on interest-led education, and I will have those studies linked below as well as the quotes. So here are the reflection questions that you can ask yourself of the fear of falling behind. Can I release the idea that learning is a race? And how can I notice and celebrate growth that happens on my child's unique timeline? So fear number 2 is pressure to conform. We are wired to seek belonging. We fear judgment, especially from people we love and respect. But here's the thing, doing what everyone else does is comfortable, honestly, until it's not. So freedom in education often looks very different from the mainstream. And that difference can make us feel really exposed and vulnerable. But you didn't choose this path to impress others. You chose it because you saw something more for your child, something deeper, something freer. Your courage to live differently gives your child permission to live authentically. So here is a quote to help you with the pressure to conform. Choosing a non-traditional education path can be daunting due to societal expectations. However, embracing self-directed learning can foster inclusion and personal growth. According to the study in the Review of Education, self-directed learning competence enhances career success and provides resilience against unemployment. So here's a reflection question for you. Whose voice do you fear most? Is that voice aligned with what's best for my family? What would it feel like to stand confidently in my choice, even if others never understand? Fear number 3, losing control. So control feels safe, but control also creates dependency. A child who is constantly directed, corrected, and managed will look to others for permission instead of learning to trust themselves. Freedom is really messy. There will be days where you feel really unproductive, you feel like it's aimless and even chaotic. But out of that freedom comes self-direction, which is one of the most valuable life skills. When we hold on too tightly, we communicate to our kids that we don't believe you'll figure it out without me. When we loosen our grip, we say, I trust you to explore, fail, get up, and to grow. And trust builds resilience, which we, of course, want with our kids. So here's a quote to help you with the fear of losing control. Relinquishing control over our child's education can be unsettling. Yet fostering self-directed learning encourages students to take ownership of their education, leading to a greater sense of belonging and respect. As noted in a study published in Frontiers in Psychology, self-directed learners experience a greater sense of belonging and take ownership of their learning journeys. Here is a reflection question to help you with this fear. Where am I micromanaging out of fear? And what small area can I release control of this week and see and watch it unfold? Fear number 4 is the fear of gaps in knowledge. So we worry, what if we miss something, especially something essential? But here's what's essential: knowing how to ask questions, knowing how to seek out information, and knowing how to learn at any age. If your child masters those skills, they can fill any gap anytime. The world doesn't need people who know everything. They need people who know how to figure things out. And gaps, if they exist, are simply opportunities to allow curiosity to grow and flourish. And a quote I have to help you with this fear of gaps in knowledge is this: concerned about educational gaps are valid. However, self-directed learning emphasizes the development of skills to acquire knowledge independently. A literature review from the Education Resource Information Center associates self-directed learning skills with improved student achievement, highlighting the importance of process like self-regulation and self-management. Here are some reflection questions to help you with gaps in knowledge. Am I more focused on covering content or teaching my kids how to seek answers? What gaps do I have in my knowledge, and has that ever stopped me from learning as an adult? Fear number 5 is about the future. So the future feels really big and unknown. It's natural to want to secure it by following proven paths. But here's the uncomfortable truth with that: the traditional path doesn't guarantee safety or success. But what does? Adaptability, resilience, creativity, and problem solving. Those qualities are built when children are given freedom to explore, fail, pivot, and then try again. The world our children will inherit demands thinkers, innovators, and self-starters, not just good test takers. So here is another quote to help you with worry. Worrying about your child's future is natural. However, self-directed learning equips students with adaptability and problem-solving skills essential for the evolving job market. The Review of Education study emphasizes that self-directed learning competence contributes to career success and offers protection against unemployment. So here's a reflection question or two to help you with worry. Am I making decisions based on fear of the unknown future, or on the skills my child will need to thrive in any future? And what qualities do I want my child to carry into adulthood, and how can I nurture those right now? Next, we have lack of trust in your child. So trust is scary. What if they waste time? What if they aren't motivated? What if they never get serious? But here's the truth: control actually stifles motivation, where trust fuels it. Children who are given freedom learn to trust themselves, and that inner trust is what drives motivation. It doesn't happen overnight. It definitely doesn't, but neither does confidence. It's built through trial, error, exploration, and encouragement. And a quote I have for you to help you with the lack of trust in your child or your kids is this: trusting your child's ability to direct their learning can be challenging, yet fostering self-directed learning encourages students to take ownership of their education, leading to a greater sense of belonging and respect. As noted in a study published in Frontiers in Psychology, self-directed learners experience a greater sense of belonging and take ownership of their learning journeys. So reflection questions I have for you is, do I believe my child is naturally curious and capable, or am I constantly questioning their motivation? And then I have, what might happen if I watched, waited, and trusted instead of stepping in way too soon? Fear number 7, parental guilt. Guilt always whispers in our ears, you're not enough. You should be more structured. You're messing this up. But guilt is not a guide. It's a signal that you're measuring yourself against unrealistic expectations. You are allowed to be a learner alongside your child. You are allowed to figure this out as you go. Your presence, your love, your willingness to adapt is more powerful than having a perfect plan. So here's a quote that I have for you to help you with guilt. Feelings of guilt are common among parents navigating non-traditional education paths. Recognizing that self-directed learning fosters independence and personal growth can alleviate some of this guilt. The review of education highlights that self-directed learning competence enhances career success and personal development. Some reflection questions I have for you are, what standards am I holding myself to, and are they realistic and helpful? Also, how can I replace guilt with grace and curiosity? Fear number 8 is comparison to other kids. So we've heard it a million times that comparison is the thief of joy. But other kids will have strengths your child does not, and your child will have gifts that others overlook. But I have personally found that the more children you have, the less comparison that you have with other children. But freedom in education is about discovering those unique gifts and giving them space to grow. Not every child is meant to be a prodigy, but every child is meant to become fully themselves. So that is the goal, confidence in their uniqueness. So I have a quote for you to help you with comparison. Comparing your child's progress to others can undermine their unique strengths. Embracing self-directed learning allows children to pursue their interests and develop individual talents. A study in cognitive development explores the relationship between social emotional competence and self-directed learning, emphasizing the importance of personalized educational approaches. So the reflection questions I have are, what do I love most about who my child already is? And how can I lean into their strengths instead of worrying about where they don't fit the mold? Number 9, the fear is cultural programming. So we've all internalized the message that learning happens in a desk with worksheets and letter grades, especially if you were public or private school. It's the only way that we think about education because we went through 12 years or more of it. But when we challenge that programming, we open doors to authentic learning. So that's learning through life, learning through questions, learning through play, conversation, and real-world application. So education is not preparation for life, it is life. And my quote I have for you about cultural programming. Traditional education models are deeply ingrained in our society. However, alternative approaches like self-directed learning have been shown to be effective. A study published in Cogent Education discusses how self-directed learning fosters scientific thinking and real-life problem-solving skills among students. The reflection questions are these. What outdated educational beliefs are you still holding on to? And how can I reimagine learning to fit my family's rhythms, values, and passions? The last fear I have for you guys is fear number 10, and that is fear of responsibility. So when you are choosing freedom in education, it can feel like the eyes are all on you, but you aren't meant to carry all of that weight alone. You are not responsible for having all of the answers. But what you are responsible for is creating a supportive environment, modeling curiosity, asking better questions, and walking alongside your child with humility. The responsibility you carry is not to control outcomes, but to nurture exploration and trust the unfolding. So here's a quote to help you with the fear of responsibility. Taking on the responsibility of directing your child's education can be overwhelming. However, facilitating self-directed learning shifts from responsibility to the learner, promoting independence. The review of education emphasizes that self-directed learning competence contributes to personal and professional success. Some reflection questions I have for you with this fear is, what responsibilities am I carrying that aren't truly mine? And the last one is, how can I shift from doing to guiding and from controlling to trusting? So to wrap this video up, you guys, these fears are heavy, but they don't have to lead you in a direction that you don't want to go. You can choose trust over control. You can choose connection over comparison, and you can choose grace over guilt. It won't be easy and it won't happen overnight. It will be a marathon you'll be doing over years and coming back again and again for reassurance and support. To help you stay on this path. And I am definitely here to help you with that. Freedom in education is beautiful. It's a winding road. And the most important thing isn't the destination. It's the relationship you build with your children along the way. Your child doesn't need perfection. They need presence. They need encouragement. They need space. And they need you exactly the way you are. So I hope you found this video helpful and reassuring. Please give it a thumbs up. I would love to hear your thoughts and comments. Please share those below. Share it with a friend if you think it would be helpful. And I have a free PDF download for you guys with those direct quotes from the studies that I talked about earlier and the reflection questions. So please go in the description and grab those. And I wish you blessings in your home education journey. And I do offer one-on-one coaching. I have available on my website. Again, all linked below. And I hope you have a wonderful and beautiful day. And as we always say here at Everlearn Academy, never stop learning, always take action. All right, guys, bye-bye.